big gain for the 4-car, at least 2 car lengths just in 1 and 2. We'll see if he can do it again. Oh, Brad Keselowski has spun around, still under green. No caution yet.
And he still hasn't refired. He's trying. He can't get it refired. Will the caution come out? Still not rolling.
Oh, he's rolling now.
Caution, caution, caution.
As soon as he started rolling, they threw it. They just were afraid he was going to be sitting there when the leader came up to him. So that looks very similar to what we just saw. A couple cautions. The last few cautions have been with cars on the bottom of the racetrack.
And we could see from here.
All right, why didn't NASCAR throw the caution? I think I found the answer. This has happened over and over and over, and I think I figured it out. NASCAR and TV work hand in hand. Without TV, there is no NASCAR. Without NASCAR, there's nothing to put on TV. But from we all know, TV has most of the control during races, where they race, and how long each race is. Something I've realized in the past, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years, is when they keep crashing, maybe darkness is looming, rain is incoming, or maybe they have been on air for so long or they're on a local channel, NASCAR will not throw a caution unless need be with only a handful of laps to go to prevent caution laps and another restart. I have plenty of examples to show, and we're going to go through some of those right now. We'll start off with the COVID Talladega race. NBC was actually broadcasting this on their local NBC affiliate channel. But ultimately, the race ran so long they had to switch over to NBC Sports.
So you see there, the conclusion of this race is going to be on NBCSN, so race coverage will switch over to there. Next on NBC, it's your local news, except on the West Coast, and later, Football Night in America, followed by the Eagles 49ers on Sunday Night Football. The conclusion of this race on NBCSN. Make sure to switch over there now, please.
This hurt NASCAR's viewership and definitely made a lot of fans upset. When they put it on NBC Sports, there was a couple crashes that led to overtime finishes, more than just one. On the final overtime attempt, it seemed NASCAR would not throw a caution. Cody Ware was sliding backwards down the backstretch with oncoming cars. They didn't throw the yellow flag. Also, this doesn't even help the big controversial finish that we'll talk about later in this video. Let's go on to another race. I understand that was on the last lap, and ultimately it wouldn't have made that much of a difference, but it just seems they are very hesitant to throw that caution on the final lap when the TV window has run extremely long. But there have been multiple instances like the Brad Keselowski one where they waited and waited and waited to throw the caution until the very last minute.
Truex not able to close the gap. Oh, there's a spin. The 41 of Priest is around.
Makes slight contact. No, he's not going to make contact with the inside wall, and no caution has come out.
Reddick to the inside for second.
It's 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank.
Drag race down the front straightaway for second place between Reddick and Truex. The 41 still sitting there, not refired.
Now he gets going. Trying to get going. You see the flames coming out of the exhaust of the 41. He can't get it refired.
They need to throw a caution right here.
The caution does come out. That will put Denny Hamlin in victory lane. Win number 60.
Ryan Preece would spin off turn number 2 at Pocono with 2 laps to go. NASCAR had plenty of time to have the race restarted after they threw a caution for Ryan Preece. They had plenty of time to throw that yellow before Denny Hamlin got to the white flag. They waited and waited and waited until Hamlin got to the white flag, and then proceeded to wait until halfway down the backstretch and then throw the caution. This is just some bad officiating by NASCAR. With 2 laps to go, Spencer Boyd had this horrific accident at Las Vegas in the Truck Series, and this was not even a caution. They didn't even acknowledge it on the broadcast until somebody on Twitter pointed it out. This is extremely uncalled for. I'm going to show you these clips, and this is probably just laughable at this point. These are some of the worst times NASCAR did not throw a caution when you definitely needed to.
Man, he just nails the gas. I guess that's Bobby Labonte in the middle of all that smoke. He nails it to do a 360 and just renders the racetrack blind.
Oh, this ought to be fun looking.
Still there.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Now, come on down. Come on down. Clear, clear.
Tunnel turn. Looks like 22 just drifts up into the side of the 42. 22 just loose on the inside of the 42 in the tunnel. And Debris on the racetrack. There's a spring rubber. We saw the things falling off of that car as he's trying to get to pit road.
Tough ending to the day for Kaz Gralla, who was 6th.
Yeah, and that traction compound kind of lures you into trying to stay in the gas, and all of a sudden you kind of get out of the sticky part of the traction compound and it loses the nose, and I think that's probably what happened to Kaz right there.
And there we see the yellow car parked, slowing down to get on pit road, and there's so much debris there that he gets loose as he hits the apron of the racetrack. And around he goes, almost backs up to the racetrack, but finally stops it.
The officiating in NASCAR races sucks, and there's no way around it. Just like when Kurt Busch was en route to win his Talladega race in 2018, there was a massive wreck behind him and no caution was thrown, and he was extremely mad in his post-race interview.
There was 2 missed calls, though, by NASCAR at the end. Why would we have an extra yellow flag lap? Beyond me. The track was ready to go. And at the end, you know, once we cross the white flag, if there's a wreck and an ambulance needs to be dispatched, I've been on the other side of that where I was racing coming back to win the race, and they said, well, we had to dispatch an ambulance. There was 2 cars dead in the water down there. Chase Elliott's safety is of my concern, and so was the 32 car. And so it's a human call. There's rules that need to be stricter at the end of these races, but man, what a monster Ford. Led a lot of laps. I tried to stay positive. I said, you know, there's going to be restarts at the end. We need to save fuel. I did everything I could in my power on my checklist. Just got to thank Doug Yates for the power to lead all these laps today. It's a very different Talladega for me. And I really enjoyed leading the race, working with my teammates. I'm really happy that Stuart Hoskar won. The 4 of us, I've never seen so much synergy. And we knew we were going to have to race when we got to Kansas. It would have been nice to have the win. We're here to win. That's what Monster Energy wants. Thanks to those guys. That's what Gene Haas wants. Thanks to Gene, Tony Stewart, everybody. But there was 2 human element calls there at the end. I don't know why we ran an extra lap under yellow and why there wasn't the yellow for a dispatch of an ambulance.
Everybody knows the 2013 Richmond race with Clint Bowyer spinning on purpose. But do you remember the other controversy regarding that race? Well, you probably don't. Back in 2013, NASCAR had a rule. If you were second place, you could not beat first place to the start-finish line on a restart. Well, in the final restart of that race, Carl Edwards actually beat Paul Menard, who was currently first place, to the start-finish line. NASCAR said they reviewed the restart, but gave him no penalty. Back then, that would have been a penalty. They should have black flagged Carl Edwards and brought him down to pit road. Ultimately, nobody cared because everybody cared about Clint Bowyer spinning on purpose and blaming Dale Jr. Continuing off for Richmond, there was a late restart in the 2024 Richmond race that saw Denny Hamlin potentially jump the restart and ended up taking home the checkered flag. But when they restarted the race, Fox didn't even show the full restart with the leaders. The next shot you see is the leaders after the restart zone. It was ultimately shown after the race that Hamlin potentially jumped the restart.
In the restart box, well, you see Martin chase him all the way down there with the side draft, trying to hold him at bay so he doesn't get clear.
Denny ran him up the racetrack a little bit. Still there, side by side. Still holding tough on the outside, Mark Truex Jr.
You know, I don't know. He jumped the start and then just used me up in turn 1, so definitely sucks, but you know, a good solid day and another car capable of winning. So we'll just have to come back next week, try to get him again.
Thanks, Martin.
Yep.
This was Denny Hamlin's second win of the season, and he won in dramatic fashion. Right or wrong, Hamlin took home the checkered flag. It's like the people in the officiating booth don't even know what they're doing. Just like at this year's Daytona 500 when they waited so long to throw the caution flag and ended up ruining the 2024 Daytona 500 finish by having it end 1 lap sooner because it ended under yellow. It also created for this controversial moment between who was leading, whether it was Byron or Bowman. This thing was just a mess.
Austin Cindric going for a wild ride here, as did Ross Chastain.
You see the light on, you see Bowman ahead of Byron right there, but need to back it up and see this again.
And the Daytona 500.
Race winner will be the 24. We'll need the 24 to the start-finish line.
Goes to victory lane, William Byron. From Charlotte, North Carolina, Rudy Fugle, his crew chief.
Yeah, I was pretty sure William had us, but you're going to let him debate it, right? I think a couple hundred more feet, and obviously we had the run, but just so proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. It's 40 years to the day since they ran their first race. So,
speaking of a mess, so was the 2020 Talladega Fall race, just like we talked about at the beginning of the video. But now we're going to talk about the finish. You are not allowed to pass anybody below the yellow line. If you are forced below the yellow line, the penalty is then handed down by the person who forced you on the yellow line. I want you to watch this clip, and you can rewind it if you have to, but just look how many cars either went below the yellow line or pushed somebody below the yellow line. And no penalties were handed out at all.
The Wood brothers and Matt DiBenedetto out front at Talladega.
No organization right now. Look at this outside line. Oh, we got a car in the wall, the back straightaway. Cody Ware. Here comes the 17 and the 24. They're going to try to block.
Eric
in
gets
the wall.
up into the wall. Now the 24, a big run. He slides. They make more contact. 3 wide as they come out of 4.
Hamlin to the inside. Side draft coming from the 24 car.
Denny Hamlin. William Byron through the tri-oval coming up to the stripe. And as they go across the stripe, a photo finish. Denny Hamlin gets the nod by 23 one-thousandths of a second.
No way.
Take another look.
We normally think about this yellow line being on the straight, but this is in the corner. He is on the apron of the racetrack.
I kind of have to see it from a different perspective to see if the 17 car gave him no choice.
But he still continues forward. Even though if the 17 gave him no choice, he still continues forward and passes these 2 cars.
I know that the precedent's been set today that they have been black flagging the car that's forcing, and nothing's happening to the other guy who's on the apron. So if the precedent has been set, you would say that Denny did the same thing that anyone else did that got forced below that line today.
He just benefited in this situation.
The 2002 Watkins Glen race saw Tony Stewart claiming his victory there, but it was not without controversy. He jumped the restart of the race. Robbie Gordon, a road course expert, was extremely upset at how NASCAR handled the situation, and he expressed it in his post-race interview.
And what they're talking about was, I think Richard Childress has complained to NASCAR that these leaders have been jumping the restart. I showed you that orange cone just a moment ago. That's where they're supposed to hit the accelerator. I think he's saying that they're hitting the accelerator just in there someplace before they get to the cone.
But you know what, BP? Really, the way they restarted the last time is helping Robbie Gordon because it's a rolling fast start. If Tony brings him down really slow to that cone and takes off, that's going to kill Robbie Gordon because of the first gear he's got.
I agree.
This is it, the restart. And the white flag. 1 lap to go at Watkins Glen. Can any of these people behind Tony Stewart take the win away?
There he goes.
Oh, that was pretty early.
Whoa.
Final lap at Watkins Glen. Did Tony jump that last restart, you think?
Did he jump the last restart? No, he brake checked us, and he took off over way before the go mark. So, you know, that was disappointing because I thought we would have had a shot at him, and we weren't supposed to take off until that cone over here under the bridge. He took off way before turn 10, so I'm disappointed about it, but, you know, everybody on the singular team did a good job. Tony did a hell of a race. He drove a hell of a race. You know, one of the days we're going to pull this thing back into victory lane.
All right, and NASCAR did warn all these teams, don't jump the restart and don't lay back.